Welcome, everyone. Come on in the house. This is Dr. Vanessa with Hush No More. I am the executive director and also the research psychologist for our organization. And I am grateful to be on season 4 of Hush No More with Dr. Vanessa, where you come and hear the truth about what's going on in our communities, in our country, what advocates are going through, what survivors are going through. We talk about it. We don't hold no punches. We tell the truth here. And so I'm so grateful for this space in that I am able to hold it for you, hold it for survivors. And so I encourage you to come in, leave a comment, let us know how you feel tonight. Okay. Before I get started, I do want to thank two of our sponsors. Our major sponsor is CTR Media Network. They allow Hush No More to be on their platform. They work with us, they sponsor us for different events. Check out Dr. Tina, go to their TV shows. They have some amazing podcasts, amazing shows. And so I want y'all to check out CTR Media Network. And also, we have a sponsor for this episode, which is Direct Tax Advance. Joey is amazing. They provide tax preparation and credit repair. And the one thing that they're doing for Hush No More is that they're going to offer 3 gift certificates for us to raffle off. You will see that coming, and you'll be able to use it for either free credit repair or for tax preparation. The only thing you would have to pay for is the filing. And he is going to donate $100 to Hush No More for every person that gets their taxes done that is referred by Hush No More. So I encourage you to check out Joey at Direct Tax Advance. So thank you, Joey, for supporting survivors. And if you would like to be a sponsor or if you would like to be a guest, I would love to hear from you. All right, so we're going to get into it today. I know you all see that the title of the show today is Church Hurt and Should the Church Be Held Responsible? This is not a topic for people to bash anyone, right? This is not for you to be mad. It is just the truth. I encourage you to share your truth. I'm going to share my truth and my experiences. I encourage you to share yours. This is not saying that places of worship, places of faith are not good. There are some really good places of worship, right? And I encourage you to find one that fits the needs that you have for you. I love faith. I love religion. I have studied different religions. I love anything positive that's talking about love, and that's love and kindness. That is real big for me, no matter what your faith is. And so I wanted to talk about it today because I've just seen a lot going on on social media, especially with the Buddhist monks going around. People have been really mean. I've noticed that. Also, I've seen people that have been just talking to me about it and how they have had those experiences. And so it is my goal to share, to talk about it, to see how we can actually heal from it, how we can come together as a community, how we can start protecting people, because awareness plus knowledge equals prevention. You can't prevent something that you do not know about. And also, when you go to a place of worship, you automatically assume that all the people there are nice, but they are not all nice, right? So I got evidence, cases, and I just want to be able to bring that to you all today. So for me, my own personal church hurt came from just as a child. I grew up in the church, right? Most of you know that my mom's a minister. She's been in the church, had us in the church all our life, right? And I just thought that it was always a safe place. I thought that that was what I wanted to do, was to be in the church, be in the choir, and maybe one day teach Sunday school, right? But what I found out was that there was a lot of things that were not right in our church. And for me, it wasn't until we was about in high school. The first sign for me that things weren't right was my sisters being approached by who was our uncle. And I have no shame in telling you because it's the truth. Who was our uncle? And he was talking to both of them from a sexual manner at different times. And how we found out was we was sitting in the car after church waiting for my mom, and they were upset. And I was like, what? So I told my dad, right, what had happened. Because one, you're my uncle, but you're also our pastor, because we grew up in a family church. And my dad was pissed. You know, if you listen to what my dad said, he threatened them and told him not to say anything to us again and not to be disrespectful and, not to cause that hurt. And so that was my first sign that things was not right. The next thing was I got pregnant at 17. I had my daughter Tiara at 18. When I got pregnant, what happened to me was they have this thing called you have to sit down, right? So I was kind of ostracized. I was told to sit on the back row. I had to apologize to the church. They prayed over me. They said things like, well, you can't have a baby shower because you weren't supposed to be pregnant. Never was it, Vanessa, how do you feel? What are you going through? The only person that had something positive to say to me to encourage me as a teenage mother was my mentor, Mr. Eddie Cole. God bless him, he has passed. And when I told him I was pregnant, he was our youth minister. He said, Vanessa, so what are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm gonna keep my baby. Like, I wasn't gonna have an abortion. I wasn't gonna give her up for adoption. I was scared and nervous because I was supposed to go to Florida University and I wasn't gonna be able to go to college. Like, I really was nervous. And he didn't condemn me. You know, he was a youth pastor in the community, and he said, what I think you should do is be a good mother. And I was like, huh? He's like, just be a good mother. That's what you do. And I was like, I didn't say it, but I was wondering, like, when are you going to be mad at me? When are you going to say, like, I'm going to hell because I sinned, because I had sex? And it was never from a place of love. It was always from a place of you going to hell and from a place of I'm going to be banished, you know? And that was sad to me. That was very hurtful to me. I didn't understand it. And to this day, I still struggle with that, right? From a place of making sure, not from a place of hurt and struggle, but struggling with that to make sure that young girls who are pregnant, that we love on them, right? And people make mistakes, things happen. My mother has an organization called Mother's Love, where she helps teenage girls who have had babies and who are doing it on their own and just to love on them. And that's how we make change. And that was my major hurt, right? And it's just scary sometimes when you see that there's so much more going on in our communities and our places of worships. And what I wanted to do was just say that it's not the Catholic Church. It's not Catholicism. It's not just Muslims. It's not the Mormons. It is all faiths have something sometimes going on. And it's not necessarily the church, it is the people, right? And not to put your faith in people. So that's what I have learned. Doing this work, I have tried to connect with a lot of places of worship, a lot of them, right? And I've had things said to me, well, we provide counseling and we take care of our own, or we don't have sexual harassment in the church. I would tell you that I have been sexually harassed quite a few times in the church. And what it looks like is you hugging me too long, or your hand just accidentally slide down to my butt. That's sexual harassment, right? Or you looking me up and down, or you sure looking good today. That is what I have experienced. And when I told my pastor that, he was like, well, I never see that, right? Or the wife will be upset because she see her husband holding on to me a little too much, right? And that is, to me, it's wrong, right? It's not something that I've ever wanted, but there is sexual harassment in church. Like, I don't even like people touching me. I don't even like hugging in the church for that reason. I've also had conversations with a bishop about talking to the kids when to see if they are experiencing any childhood sexual abuse, if anything's going on. And he literally told me, well, I'm a mandatory reporter. And so if I report, I'll be reporting on my members. I took that as you don't want to report on somebody that's paying tithes, right? That's wrong. If a person is abusing their children, shouldn't you report it, right? Kim said that can be a hurtful thing. Why not just be loving and give helpful advice? I agree, Kim. I would like for that place to be positive, to be where we can get advice and where it's loving. And you don't always see that. Now, I have experienced some really good churches, right? I have experienced some really good places of faith. I have been to Buddhist temples. I have been to different mosques. I have experienced different religions and faiths, right? All over the world. And I will tell you, I have met some amazing people. So this is, like I said, this is not the bash, but I just think that people should have an opportunity to share their experiences and to be able to heal from them, right? And not to carry the embarrassment of shame. And that is big, okay? I also want to back it up with evidence, because a lot of you will say, well, that don't happen in my church. It don't happen in my faith, right? I ain't never seen that. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that it's not happening, right? There are 5 reasons that churches get sued the most. Number 1 is sexual abuse of a minor, right? That's the first reason that a lot of churches get sued. Second, property disputes, personal injuries, zoning issues, insurance coverage disputes. That came from the Church Law Center, right? Those are the top 5 reasons. If the main reason that a church will get sued because of sexual abuse of a minor, that's a child, right? That is a problem. That is a major problem, right? And I just want y'all to be prepared, because if it's the top reason, that means it is occurring way more than what people see. Okay. Just as recent as December 2025, right? Last month, the New Orleans Archdiocese has to pay $230 million to hundreds of survivors of clergy sexual abuse, right? They knew that it was happening and they covered it up. That's the problem. I have a problem with the church when you know that something is happening and you don't do nothing about it and you cover it up, or people come and report to you. They come and try to talk to you and you don't discuss it, right? November 15th, 2025, survivors receive a settlement after being abused by a Southern Baptist megachurch in Houston, Texas. Right? 3 women filed a lawsuit about being sexually abused as a youth, right, by their youth pastor. And what's crazy, y'all, is that these youth pastors are already in jail, right? So they had a history of sexual abuse. Right? So I want y'all to just pay attention to that, of how to look out for our children, what you should do, what are the statistics, how do you pay attention to when somebody really is hurt, right? What can they do? Oh, Kim says they cover it up and make the victims to be the bad guy. And that definitely happens, right? And not accepting any blame. I want people to just hold individuals accountable. If somebody go and talk and have a council, right, with their leadership, with their religious leadership, then it shouldn't just be a cover up. Let's talk about it, right? Angela says, so glad you're bold enough to address this issue. Our community needs to come together and wake up. Wake up indeed. Wake up indeed. And to be fair about it, you can't get help if you don't talk about it, if you don't unleash the shame, if you don't come forward, if you don't go to counseling. What I want places of worship to do is provide resources, right? Give referrals to some of the resources, like the nonprofits in the community. Give referrals to counseling. Yes, clergy and pastors, they do have a certain level of counseling that they can do. They could do like pastoral counseling. They do have training in that, but you can't always counsel everything, right? Sometimes they think they can, right? I want to hear it from like the pulpit. I want to hear it in the mosque. I want you to talk about how domestic violence is wrong, how we should not be hurting somebody and not covering that up, but actually having that discussion. Creating safe spaces and saying, I'm a safe space. You can come talk to me. I'm a mandatory reporter. These are the things that I can do. These are the resources that are in our community. These are the things that I can do to help, right? Protect our children. Create policies and procedures that you have established in your place of worship, right? That the people that are working with our children get background checks. Sometimes the background check is not going to come back all the time, but at least they know, well, you're paying attention, and that helps. Believe. Don't automatically assume because Deacon Brown is a good guy, he would never do this, right? No, don't just assume that. You have to really listen to people and see how they feel. And that is a big one for me. I just feel like people automatically look at the person that is in leadership and believe that they're a good person, and they're not. They're not always good people. And they do cause hurt and they do cause pain. The main one for me is not even just the sexual abuse, it's also the domestic violence. When individuals come forward in a place of worship to say that they have been abused by their spouse or their significant other, it is, you got to work it out. Let's pray about it, right? Some things you could pray through, right? I truly believe that you could pray and work some things out. But when a person's life is in danger, I don't understand why the first thing that people say is, let's go to counseling, let's talk to the pastor, the bishop, right? And let's try to work this out. when that person is constantly abusing, or when it's the first lady being abused and we don't want to talk about it because this individual is actually doing it in his or her own household. And it's women too, right? There are women that's doing it as well. And so I really want us to pay attention to that, because people don't come forward because they don't feel safe, or they don't feel like they're going to be believed or heard or listened, or that you'll use the Bible against them. Kim says, you know, this happens in the church because it's happened in the family, because uncle such and such is a good man. We know he has done this, but we are not going to speak on that. And the exact statement is used in the church. Great correlation. Kim, you're absolutely right. It is used in families, right? And then that pours over into the church, because we are not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about what's going on in our household. We're not going to share. But that should be a place that we can share. But I think that they should be held accountable when you know. If a person comes to you and saying that they're being abused, can you help them by going to the police? That's big. Right? Can you connect them with the victim advocate? I have had individuals use the Bible to justify staying in a marriage. The Bible says that the husband is the head. The wife should submit to the husband, right? And they love to use that. The husband is the head of the house, and the wife's supposed to submit. But it also say a couple of scriptures above that the man is supposed to love God, serve God, and love his wife as he loves God. They skip all that, right? And so they use faith to justify staying in a relationship, staying in a marriage. And that is one of the signs of domestic violence, is when somebody use your religious beliefs against you and hold that against you, and you stay in a relationship, stay in a marriage. And it's very unhealthy. And I don't think that we talk about it enough. I see people go into places of worship and they got a nice hat on, they got the matching purse and matching shoes, their makeup done, their hair done, but they are unhappy. They are struggling. And we have to do better at that. We have to be a place where people feel like they can come forward and talk. We're in this together, right? We're in this together. I love when I see places of worship that have a domestic violence program. That is dope, right? I love when they have that safe space. And I don't think that we have enough of that. Right? We don't. Sometimes you even get condemned when you want to get a divorce and you want to leave your abuser. It's like, no, death is death until do us part, right? So I'm supposed to die. You're supposed to kill me, and I'm supposed to stay. No, it don't work that way. Marvin says some people grow up thinking it's normal because their parents did it. Yeah, they do think that it's normal, right? And they do think that that place of worship is normal, but that's not right. It is definitely unhealthy, and it's not fair. It causes people to cry, to be embarrassed, to be shameful, when we're supposed to lead with love. Nikki said, you think you have the perfect family with the perfect marriage, and really it's a toxic, violent mess. It is. I've seen individuals that I know are in a very toxic, unhealthy relationship, but you would never see it on social media. You would think that they have this perfect relationship. You would never see it. They never let you know. And then when it hits the fan, you're like, whoa, I never imagined that. I never thought that. And I see it all the time. And when I go to places of worship, and they do allow me to come to some I go in, there's so much that's revealed. I remember going to an AME church, and they were older women, because that religion, that faith is older. And the women were like 70s. The youngest one had to be like 55. They were older women, a women's group. And they said they never told about what had happened to them, that they had been molested as children. A lot of them, a lot of sexual abuse that they never reported, never felt safe. If you're 80 years old and you've kept this that long and you never shared and you never talked about it, what does that do to your spirit? What does that do to your soul? What does that do to your mind, your mental health? And so I think it's important that we allow this space to be able to talk about it, because you shouldn't be 80 and 60 years old when you're finally telling what happened to you or trying to address it. And I do believe that the church is a safe space for that to happen. And you can create a safe space. You can have local nonprofits come in. You can have experts come in, victim advocates come in and talk about these things so that they will know that this is a safe space and they can come and talk to you about it. Okay. Nikki, you think they have the perfect family with the perfect marriage. Oh, I already read that. I thought you had another topic, but I'm going to finish it. With the perfect marriage and really is a toxic, violent mess. Because we have to do better. We have to hold ourselves accountable and come together. So she said, I know people who would argue down about how great someone was and how they would never hurt their kids. And then the truth come out and they say, well, I would have bet money they didn't do that. I'm so shocked. Sometimes they still don't believe it. Even when we have evidence, I don't understand why the victim has to prove that this happened to them and that the abuser doesn't have to prove that they didn't do it, right? I think our system is wrong. And they still will fight hard for the abuser. I've seen where entire places of worship have split. I'm not even gonna say who church it was because that person might see this and I don't even want y'all to connect it. But the pastor wife and the husband, they were both having an affair. And so the church split. Like half went with the wife and the other half went with the pastor. Right. And it's like, what? And didn't nobody believe it. They didn't support the wife. And the pastor was just as guilty as the wife was. Like they had a whole lot of stuff going on. And it affects us and it affects our faith. It hurts us when we realize that the person that we listen to, that we learn from, that poured into us is not a good person. It's very hurtful from that standpoint when you realize people are not who they are. Okay. And yet they do say they still don't believe it. There is no way that this person did it. When I was growing up, me and my dad was talking about this. One of the pastors had a relationship, an affair with one of the members. And I was much younger, so I didn't really understand it and understand the conversation. And she was pregnant and they had a baby. And so that's how he was removed as being the pastor. And I never really understood that. Like I heard conversations, but I was a child, so I didn't really understand it. And my dad, like as an adult, was like, yeah, he was sleeping around with all the women in the church. And I was like, what? So you just never know who is pouring into you. And so for me, I personally believe that my greatest relationship is with God, not necessarily with other people. And I'm always paying attention to how people navigate themselves in places of worship. And how are they protecting the children? What is in place when they're at camp? We used to go to youth camp. We used to spend a whole week. And so what is in place so that children are not harmed? Because it's ridiculous about the amount of adults that's coming forward and saying they were molested as a child. And it's not just men, it's women too, right? And it bothers me. It's very disturbing. And I think that we can come together and really pay attention and put programs in place and protections and policies in place of how we had it. If we got a policy on how we could pay tithes and donate to the church, we can have a policy on how we could protect members and what does it look like when we have an individual that come forward asking for help and not making them feel shame, not making them feel like they're wrong or that they shouldn't be here. We should always lead with love and kindness. Kim, but how are we really learning from people that do that? Why still follow them? I get people make mistakes, but is it that really a mistake or who they are? When you're in leadership, it's who you are. I do believe that there's a level of forgiveness that you can give to a person. I could tell you when I find out something about you, though, I'm not following you no more. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not following you no more. I'm out. That's just me. To each their own. But you would see people that would still stay. And they would say, oh, that was just a man. Oh, this one I heard. She tempted him. You got to wear your clothes, make sure your skirt long. You can't sit on the front row because you are tempting. I just feel like people should be able to wear what they want to wear, right? Yeah, with decency, but come as you are. My mom used to say, when you come as you are, but when you know better, you do better. But I don't believe that you should blame an individual because of what they had on, of why they were sexually harassed or why they was touched or why they was sexually abused. I think that is some crap. That's some bull crap. And you cannot blame that individual because We should be held accountable for our actions. Period. Hey, Lisa. Some people ignore the abuse because it gets normalized and people don't want to put in other people's business. Yeah, they don't want to be in nobody else's business. But it ain't nobody else's business. Whenever there's a crime or whenever somebody hurt, you should try to step in and help, right? And bystander intervention. Bystander intervention 101. We should step in and help, right? And a lot of times people say, well, it's not a church business. If you know that a crime is being committed, domestic violence, sexual assault, those are crimes, human trafficking. We have seen where churches are the holding ground for human trafficking. And they'll be like, not my church, your church, right? Because we trust people. These kids trust people, right? Young girls and young boys, and they go off with them. And the next thing you know, they're drugged, they wake up and they're in Georgia, they're in Atlanta, right? It happens. And if you trust this location, then you would never believe that something can happen to you. But human trafficking has been done in the church. And they ain't talking about it, but I tell you that it's a real thing. I heard a first lady tell someone that in the church, like she actually went up to this married woman and said her dress was too short. They do that. So the church I grew up in, they were gonna bring this little lap scarf. I forgot what you call it. I don't even know what you call it, but they lay it across your lap and they're gonna cover you up, right? That's just what they do. But I also heard say you shouldn't be dressed like that because Lisa's like, absolutely, you shouldn't be dressed like that because you tempting pastor. Like, what? I don't believe that you should blame others. You should have self-control of what you do and not hold the victim accountable. Period, hands down. And I'm talking about this because I want individuals to see that certain things are wrong and that you should speak up. You should say something. And I've heard people say, well, no, I ain't gonna say nothing. They ain't gonna be talking about me. They ain't gonna be mad at me. You should say something. Right is right. And oh, Kim, the dress wasn't short. Depends on who judging. Because when I was growing up, they really wanted your dress to be to your knees. I had a friend in high school where her dad was the one that was sleeping with his children. He molested his children, and he was the pastor, right? And it's sad when we can always trust people and not hold them accountable. You should be held accountable. You should go to jail if you harm somebody. And I don't understand how in this society that's not happening. Okay, so I hold you all accountable along with the church. If the church finds out, they should have some type of action that is taken. And they are mandatory reporters. The leadership are mandatory reporters. And you should have training in how to identify that. Okay. Kim, her husband bought it for her for Mother's Day just to wear to service. Oh, well, that's nice. Okay. That's nice. But people have opinions, and they have opinions on what you look like and what you wear. And for me, I don't want somebody to say things to me that is hurtful. And I think you could say something with grace and love and kindness, right? I've seen people that they're struggling, and the first place they go is to a place of worship, right? They might be on drugs, they might be a sex worker, and they're going to church because they want to get closer to God. They want to get prayer. They want to get healing. And then they'll walk in and people looking at them, looking them up and down, got things to say. Why she got that on? She ain't do nothing to her hair. And they talking about these individuals when they come to church. And that is wrong. Or they'll sit them on the back row, won't allow them to come up front. I've seen that too. I done sat back and watched some stuff go on. And that is not nice. We should be loving and kind and accepting. And you never know when somebody is suicidal. You don't know. They're coming there so that they can be loved and accepted. But people got little slick stuff to say. And that's not love and kindness. Okay. Michelle, if we do find out that someone is being harmed, what do we do? So it depends on the situation or if it's a crime, is it sexual harassment, is it sexual assault? If it's a crime, you can report it to the police, right? You can go and talk to a victim advocate to get advice on how you should navigate this. What should you do, right? You could talk to the person. If the person is close to you and you say, I noticed some things and I just want to know if you want to talk about it. I'm a safe space and I'm here for you, right? You you talk about it. You can also go and report it to the leadership in the church or in the mosque, or you can report it and see where it goes. If you're reporting it and it doesn't go, you can call the police, right? You can reach out to me and ask me for some advice on what you think I should do and how to navigate this, because every situation is different. But if it's a crime, it should be reported. Um, Kim says, like, pull them to the side and softly say it's not in front of a group of women. I just didn't think that situation was very loving. It was more hurtful and embarrassing. Yeah, you could do it with some candor, right? I have made a person feel good by just winking and smiling. I have done that oftentimes to let you know I understand, and I just wink my eye like it'll be okay. That's a simple, easy way. But if it's a crime, it's reportable. Okay. But sometimes that individual don't even want you to report. They don't even want you to say nothing. So having conversations with them or going to somebody that you trust that is close to them as well. But you do want to figure out what is it that you want to do to navigate. Sometimes I've gave people resources and just gave them, say, hey, I found this resource. I don't know if you need it or not. I carry a resource card and I give that out. So, and just being creative. I always use the acronym GIVE when I'm talking to somebody that has been through. And that is in any situation, domestic violence, sexual assault, just sexual harassment, harm, if they're suicidal, whatever the situation is, I use GIVE. And GIVE is G, be gentle with them, right? Because they're in a very difficult space. So you don't want to be harsh. You don't want to say things like, I would never let this happen to me. If I was you, I would do this. Like, you don't want to be hard and aggressive. You want to be very gentle and soft with them. I stands for interested. You want to be interested in what they're saying, really paying attention in this moment when you're having this conversation with them. You want to validate how they feel. I've heard people say, oh, it's just sexual harassment. It wasn't sexual assault. It's not like you were penetrated, right? That's a no. You really want to validate how they feel. If they say this is the worst day of their life, maybe this is the worst day of their life. That's how they feel in this moment. So that's how they feel, right? And validating somebody doesn't mean that you believe them or that you agree with what they're saying. Validating means that you're just allowing them to be in this space. And then E is my favorite. E is empower, encourage, elevate, right? Everything that you should empower them. Everything that you say should be something positive, right? And should be encouraging. And that is important, what you say. So G, be gentle. I, interested. V, validate. E, empower, encourage, elevate. All those good things. And what you can say is, how can I help you? What do you need from me? Sometimes they say, I just want you to listen. Sometimes they'll say, can you go to the police with me? Sometimes they'll say, well, can you help me find some resources? You just want to be supportive, right? And not giving your opinion. You want to just be soft and letting them know that you're there for them and that you'll support them. Kim said, what would you tell someone who wants to say something but is scared because of the person and the reputation they have? That is their choice. It's a choice for them not to share. Everybody's not ready to share, because I'm gonna tell you, our justice system is a little difficult sometimes to challenge. So you got to be ready, because you have to really defend yourself in our justice system. Our society can be very harsh and be very mean to people, and sometimes people are not ready for that. And so it's their timing, whenever they're ready, right? And I'll tell them, whenever you're ready, I'll be there with you. I'll support you. I love you. I got your back. I'm here. If you want to fight, I'm gonna fight. Call me when you want to fight. Don't call me when you like, I ain't really sure, because I be ready to get it, right? That's me. And so I don't make people leave because it's their personal decision. I never want them to turn around and say, you told me to do this and I shouldn't have done it. I wasn't ready. I don't do that. It is their decision when they're ready to leave. And I'm just here to love on you and support you through the process. Okay. And the reputation of a person is valid, because sometimes you might report and they might come for you. But I hope that people will feel that there are organizations in their community, people in their community, family members they can go talk to, that can make them feel safe and secure, and to help them through that process. Because that's what it is for us. I will tell you, a lot of times when people come talk to me, they're not reporting. They just want somebody to talk to. They just want to share. And I always say, I honor you in this moment for trusting me, for allowing me to be the person that you tell. And it don't go no further than that. They just need to be able to share it. But I do say, when you decide to hush no more, that is how you could start the process of healing. when you admit that things are going on, you can heal and be able to get to the next level. Lisa, you actually know how to talk to people and show empathy and compassion. Some people need training on that. I provide training on that, Lisa. You're absolutely right. And Kim said, yep, you definitely say that. I do. I honor you. Okay? I think that we need more training in our community on how to talk to individuals once they're going through some things, even your children. What happens when it's your kids and they come and tell you something has happened to them? You want to approach that with love and kindness, not, oh, why you didn't tell me before? Eh, None of that, right? You just want to say, I honor you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for trusting me. And we're going to get through this together. That's how you handle that. Okay. And you don't have to be perfect because sometimes I don't know what to say. I done heard some horrific things, y'all. I mean, like one time this guy told me that he used to have to bathe his mom. I was like, what? And he said he didn't realize until high school that that wasn't wrong. That was wrong was he told the kids that he couldn't stay after school for football because he had to bathe his mom. And they were like, bathe your mom, what? And then it was a whole conversation. And that's when he realized that he wasn't supposed to be bathing his mom and touching her in private places. That's crazy, y'all. So what do I say? Like, what do you say when the case is like so crazy and it's unbelievable, right? I honor you in this moment. Thank you for sharing with me. It means a lot that you trust me. And it really does. Because that person chose you out of everybody in the whole wide world to share something so intimate. And that's important that you empower them and love on them in this moment. Okay, so that is always my goal is how can I make people feel better? How can I love on them? Right? How can I just be more kind? Right? We need that. We need that because you never know what people are going through. Never know what people are going through. And so that is my goal. And I know a lot of people struggle. Okay. Kim, shoot, how do you keep a straight face? Because my mouth would have dropped wide open. Practice. So I realized that if I don't hold it together, that person may cave. Like I've had people look me dead in my eye and they like waiting, they about to cry and everything else, and they holding it in. And I feel like if I cry, they're gonna cry. So I try my best to not to let it all go. Now after I leave with them, I'll be like, yeah, leave, right? Oh, that was rough, right? And I pray and I release and I ground, right? I cleanse myself. I use sage. I burn incense. Like I really do just try to get it off of me, but it is hard, right? And then I'll say things like this. This is my most important thing to say is you are the most important person in the universe. You are. And take care of yourself. Lead with you in mind. It is important that people understand that, but it's hard to have a straight face, but I try my best not to say nothing crazy. And so I'll just say, well, I honor you. Thank you for sharing with me. Simple as that. How can I help you? What do you need from me? Do you need me to do anything? And then we follow from there. Okay. But it is very challenging. I ask you that because I have watched you and I don't know how you do it. I'm always in awe of you. Oh, thank you, Kim. I would tell you that it ain't me. I always pray. I always ask God to give me the words, the wisdom, and the courage and the discernment to do what is needed in every single moment. And I just don't always, I don't always have that ability to do anything else besides that. And I lead with love. And that's how I get through it. I lead with love. And that's it. And I know that people need a safe space. And I used to question, like, God, why you got people telling me stuff all the time? I used to be like, why am I this space for people? But I just realized that that's just what God got me, and that's my space. That's my gift. Okay. Tierra said this conversation is so necessary. It is, Tierra. I actually told them about when I was pregnant with you. That's my daughter, y'all. And how the church had a lot of embarrassment and shame for me, how they used that against me for being pregnant. And how I really felt horrible, especially when I couldn't sing in the choir. That was a hard one. And I felt like it was like I was contagious. So none of the other girls in the church could hang around me. And the crazy part is that the boys didn't get the same treatment that I got. But it's okay because God blessed me with a gift. Kim said, "That's how you know you are walking in your purpose." Yeah. I feel like I'm walking in my purpose. I really do. Even on days that is can be rough sometimes, especially for advocates, right? But we have to talk about these things. And I applaud any religious leader that is doing the right thing. That is amazing. This is not to bash. This is just for people to be able to share their truth. And I'm sure, like, after we go off air, that people will be able to share their truths, and they're going to comment on the post, and that is okay. And I hope people don't come in and try to make them feel bad for sharing their truth, because it is. And we just have to come together as a community. And I really want places of worship to think about a domestic violence program, resources that people could use, a child sexual abuse program. Like, where do you go? Who do you talk to in your community? What resources are free, right? What counseling services are available? Even though they get pastoral counseling, some people need more counseling than that. Okay, a lot more than that. And sometimes people need to be on medication. Sometimes people are not safe. Okay. And so we really want people to heal. We need the heal version of you. Okay. We need the healed you. And that is so important that you show up in that space. And that is what we're here for. We're here to hold that space for individuals. Okay. So thank y'all for commenting, listening. If you want to share anything, you are free to drop it in the comments, whether you're on the podcast, whether you're on social media, or even if you are on our TV platform with CTR Media Network, who is our sponsor. I would love for you to just share on what was your experiences. And even if you went through some things, how did you get through it? How did you heal from it? How did you let it go? Right? I just realized there's some crazy, dumb people in this world, and I'm not going to allow you to affect me. And almost like some cults in this world, but I'm not going to allow it to affect me. And I know that there are good people out here, and that we could take care of each other, and that awareness plus knowledge equals prevention. Okay. If you ever need to reach out to us, hushnomore.org is our platform. You can always go to Linktree /Dr. Guyton. That's like our updated information as well. And you can reach out to me, right? And you can also just follow us on social media. So if you're not following us, if you're not following our podcast, I encourage you. We're here every Thursday night. We're live. Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Thursday nights is art therapy, where Hearty Hands and Hush No More comes together and we do art therapy. And I am so excited about that every Thursday. So y'all welcome to join us. It is virtual, so it doesn't matter where you are. And we actually have some events coming up. We have our military sexual trauma retreat that is called Sisters in Service, Healing in Service, right? Healing and Courage. It's April 17th, right? And you can go online and register. And I'm very grateful and excited for that. And I will drop the links for that event. We also have Puerto Rico coming up. Puerto Rico is in June. We're going to the rainforest, and it's all holistic. We'll be at the beach. We'll be hanging out together. June 26th to the 29th. And then y'all know we got our domestic violence walk October 17th. Go ahead and block your calendars. Come hang out with us. Look at our online community calendar. We do some amazing things. And I encourage you to heal. I encourage you to love. I encourage you to lead with kindness. The monks are walking through South Carolina right now. They're on their way to North Carolina. But if they didn't show us nothing else, they show us how to come together in peace and bring love and harmony. And I'm very grateful for that example. And so you could do that in your own community, because it takes us all to make a difference and to make sure that we're raising awareness that leads to prevention. If you need anything, reach out to me. You got a topic that you want to talk about, let me know, because I will discuss it. I have no problem with that. And I do believe that we should hold people accountable. Kim said, come join us on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. You don't have to be an artist to participate. You do not. I love the color. And I think that art therapy helps and encourages us to heal. Okay, so y'all join us. Peace and blessings to you. I am so grateful for you. Remember that you should not carry the shame of your abuser. Your abuser should carry the shame, and that you can heal. Peace.